Hey everyone, this is Demon, and this is pretty much I made a few changes on the options. So for the graphics, but will be the very first time I play the game. So let us begin. We are waiting.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in.
Probably got paid
As though he had been made exactly for
$4,000
this
in
job.
2 weeks.
And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation.
Oh no.
Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Hey, no, call 911. Okay. Need help? Anyone?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
What? Oh, door. Open door. Okay. Cool. Where is everyone? What? Okay.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Why left? Why not right? Decisions. Decisions.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yes. Yes. Just to admire it, not to, you know.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Yep. Just standing here, drinking. Ooh, drinking.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Fine.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Fine. I'll do that.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Manager.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
How'd you solve this be with cool? That honestly does work. Make sure that your side has a sleep. Oh God. Oh, PowerPoint class. Aww. Anyway, for everybody, just to let everybody know, I am in the army, and this, yeah, this honestly does sound, or look, really, really familiar. So I'm just gonna go. Room closet.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
How do I know? Ooh, what's that? Looks radioactive.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason
it's
to
not
still
empty.
be
I mean,
here.
there's a wrench, duct tape, something, more wrenches.
It was baffling that
more
Stanley was still
duct
just
tape.
sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Sweet FA.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please
Because I
offer me
can.
some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Well, I am thinking. Normally I think in a broom
You
closet.
do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked
That's a
past
choice.
the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I
But
never would have
it
thought to
is.
mention it.
Fine.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Oh, it is. This is my favorite. Fine.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
No, you can't prove that. Fine.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
You call me stupid. Yeah, what now, huh? Am I stupid now? Ooh. Ooh, it's red. Alright. What now?
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
One,
All
two,
because he
three,
believed
four?
everyone had vanished.
Before
His
what?
boss would think
Before
he was
1, 2?
crazy. And then something
Oh, 1, 2,
occurred to
before
Stanley.
4.
Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
What?
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Oh my god, no.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the
What the hell?
conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it.
1, 2, 3,
I'm
4, 4.
dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream.
It's more like a nightmare.
What a
Well,
relief
nightmare is a
Stanley
dream.
felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still
New room,
lucid.
I
So,
think.
he imagined
no.
himself flying and began to gently float above the
Oh,
ground.
what the f...
Then he
What the
imagined
fuck?
himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared.
Oh my
It
God.
was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up.
Space.
How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
We all
Now the
have that
voice was
little voice.
describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
Oh
And while
no.
he thought it all very
No.
odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all
What
people
the?
in their dreams, the truth was that, of
Where's
course,
the car?
this was not a dream.
Where's my
How
car?
could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take
You gotta be
responsibility for
kidding me.
himself? Stanley is as
AB,
awake
1,
right
1,
now
1, 2.
as he's ever been in his life.
1, 2, B, 4.
Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that
Or
this
maybe I
was in
go
fact a
backwards.
dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he
like a
closed his
nightmare.
eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake
It's
up.
closed.
He felt
I'm
the
awake.
cool weight
Oh,
of the
Jesus.
blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want.
And get paid $4,000
I want my
every
apartment
2 weeks.
and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been.
This is
My
too
life
scary.
is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
This is scary.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I
Why
must
is
be
it going
real. I
red?
must be. Can anyone hear
Oh
my
God, oh
voice?
God.
Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Oh man, I gave myself a brain aneurysm.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her
so
belongings,
lost.
and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man.
What?
He was
I
obviously
did get a
crazy.
brain aneurysm.
This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
But
It was
if
comforting
nothing
to
is
think
real,
this. And in a certain way,
then how do you
seeing
know
this
if
man made her feel
anything is real
better.
if nothing's real?
Then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
What? What a bitch! Turn and run? What the hell? Alright, this...
All of his
definitely-
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Alright. I'm lost. Button. Awaiting button. Input received.
When
Okay.
Stanley came to a set of two
Fine.
open doors, he
I'll go
entered
to
the door on his
on the
left.
I'll play your little game.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
The only reason why I'm doing this is because my brain really hurts right now. Ooh, bathroom. Aww. Man, they always, all the bosses get fancy stuff.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Okay. I have a bad feeling about this, so... Why not? I'm pushing. No.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Every year, every 2 weeks. That's enough.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
But... I need to think about this one. What if I go? I'm scared. Ah, that's a long hallway. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm not trusting this one.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
That's too far.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Loading. What's going on? What?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the picture.
Jump.
He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of
You can't jump. An achievement unlocked. You can't jump. 420.
So he
But really, I can't jump.
accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
I'm scared. What the?
Farewell, Stanley,
Bullshit.
cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
But... what the hell? Oh man, am I in hell? Alright, well... I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna end this. This is part 1 of... I don't know. I think there's gonna be a lot of parts. So this is Demino. If you do like this, please press like or subscribe to my channel. This is Demino signing off.